So moving on with the rear brake cable being too short, I looked at the cost of custom cables to start with, and they are not cheap at about 45 quid, or at least that's the starting price for them. However, a little bit of research online, I discovered that you can get an 85-inch cable for Chinese scooters, and luckily this is the shorter one at 76 inches. So I have just ordered myself a cable that's effectively about 20 centimeters longer than this, which should be absolutely perfect for what we need. Oh, I could have a shorter tube. I'm not going to make it. That one bench, don't give up. More heat, more space. Much better. Much better. Could still have a bit more room. Whew. The first 90-degree bend is the easy one. Now I've got to do the other one and make it parallel. We might actually have it about right. Maybe a bit more. Tweak more. That looks to be about right. Yep, we'll call that a win. So here's the hoop that I just fabric coupled in my shed. I tried to account for the increase in radius by bending it, and I calculated that 10 centimeters was the minimum I needed for my hand to grip onto the top. However, the radiuses were bigger than expected, and that has put me slightly wide of the base plate. Now this isn't a crisis. I have intended to grind off these fittings here and put in a heavier duty plate underneath so I can extend it slightly wider. So that's not an issue. It's just not brilliant fabrication on my behalf. Having said that though, I quite like the hoop there. It'll give me something to get the bike on and off the stand without it being too large. I don't know if it should be upright or at a slight angle, but that's something we can work on. And that'll give my welding skills a test. Yeah, quite pleased with that as a first heating and bending. And thanks again to Russell for all the scrap box of metal he gave me, because this was one of the pieces that was in there. It's been a few hours work, but I've made a base plate out of scrap steel, which will bolt on top of the existing mount. The original plan was to weld it on there, but if I bolt it, it gives me flexibility in the future to remove it and to do other things should I wish to, like make a luggage rack or whatever. Not that I necessarily will, but it's better to have options than not. So yeah, so hopefully this will mount nicely to the bike. I'll go and test fit it in a moment, and after that it's then a case of welding the hoop back onto or welding the hoop onto this plate. That will be slightly trickier, as everyone knows my welding is rubbish. And also I've got to do, I'd like to put it at a slight angle, so I'd need to modify it ever so slightly, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So that's the base plate loosely bolted down. Right, that's that roughly mocked up. I would like to angle it slightly, just to offset it. And this leg is ever so slightly longer than this one by a couple of mil. Used a couple of neodymium magnets to just hold it to make sure I'm happy with the way it looks, and I think we're going to call that quits before we make any mistakes. So yeah, I'm going to get on and mark that up and weld it. You wait and see. So again, I'm not going to win a prize of best is best welding, and this has taken a bit of grinding and filing and more grinding and more welding and more grinding, but I don't think it's going to fall off. I think I might have to tidy that up with a bit of filler prior to painting, but yeah, it is what it is. Again, you know, practice, practice, practice. One day I will do a weld that I'm proud of. In the meantime, I've got to put up with this. Sorry. Now the big question is it strong enough, or is it just going to pull off in my hand when I put it up on the stand? Other than my ugly welding, I'm actually quite pleased with the way this has come out. Feels solid. It looks level. Yeah, and I think it makes a nice tidying up at the rear end. Also makes a grab handle for the pillion if need be. So yeah, so that's all right. That's been an afternoon's work. Owning a welder is definitely a game changer. Even though I can't use it properly, the ability to fabricate and practice fabricating is just amazing, really. Having the flexibility to be able to stick bits of metal together badly is yeah, just amazing. It just allows you to take it to the next level, even though this project is nothing special. Good, that actually feels nice and secure. Good, I've not been able to really manhandle it up till now, not easily. Excellent.